Hey, what's up guys? chagtuned here. So today we're going to be talking about Accessport tuning versus open source tuning and what's going to be more beneficial for you and your setup and what I'd recommend. But first, if you haven't already, go ahead and give this video a like and hit that subscribe button with the notifications on so that I can be more motivated to create more content more often for you guys. So in the end, the process between the two is actually pretty similar, with the Accessport having one additional step, which is because you'll have to take it from the computer, upload it to your Accessport, then take your Accessport to the vehicle and finally flash the map onto the car. Whereas open source, it's more, there's no middle process to it. It's just simply got your Tactrix cable, you open your tune in your software, ECU flash, click right to ECU, and that is it. Simple as that. So yeah, in the end, similar process. It's not like uploading, from a computer to Accessport is going to kill you or anything like that. It's a simple process. Cobb has the Accessport manager, which makes that a breeze, So I'm not saying it's a, bad step or, hard additional step you have to take with the Accessport, because it's quite easy. But in the end, it is an additional step you have to take to tune. Another big question that I get is, people asking, well, hey, I already have an Accessport. Should I ditch the Accessport to go open source? And my answer to that would be, if you have any goals that involve potentially 500 plus horsepower, like 450 wheel or so, then I'd recommend going or preparing to go open source. And there's a few reasons for that. When trying to make high power, we're gonna have to run usually, quite a bit of boost. And what happens with that is our load is gonna increase. So the big problem with that is in the Accessports, the boost limit, or the boost limit overall, even on open source on a non-patched ROM, is 320 load. So if our goal is to, make big power, in most cases, we are going to get very close to that. So what boost limit does is, say this is a stock map. So say I take this up to 320 load. Now you see here, see how it all res out and it maxes out at 319. So what this means is if your car sees 319 load at any point in time, you're going to hit boost cut. So the big problem with that is we got two options. Is I keep your car under 320 load, but we might not make your power goal. Or, another workaround, but is a terrible idea, is I could come to the boost cut delay timer and change this from 1 second to something like, 20 seconds. So what this does is this controls the delay after it sees that load, how soon until it cuts. So I could increase this way high, but now we've lost boost cut, so we have no safety at all. So if it's just gonna, whatever happens, say, the hose pops off on the wastegate or something like that, and she decides to overboost, it's gonna overboost. It's not gonna cut. It's not gonna stop it from happening because of this boost cut delay timer being increased. Which again, like I said from the get-go, is a terrible idea. So I wouldn't do that. So for Accessport users, you're limited to this 319 load, 320 load. Now this is ECU flash. So in open source, and this is a stock Tephra V3 ROM. So I'm gonna come down here to and this is a patched ROM. So this has many things that even, when I send a map out to a client, I have my own custom definitions that there's a lot of patches and things that you cannot see. There's a lot of these things that you will not be able to see, which is fine. It's for me only. But one of the most important ones for high horsepower stuff is going to be this right here, boost limit patch. So the boost limit patch, if you come here, and this is not something that's default on a Tephra V3 ROM. Okay, so this isn't on every, so you might have an open source tune where I've seen it before, where a previous tuner, they have them capped at so that's the boost limit rescale patch. And then if we come down here to boost limit, you're gonna see this looks exactly like how I did on the Accessport stock map. So if I come in and I try to max it out, like let's say I put 340. Once again, we're trapped at 319 load. So it is possible to run into that same problem if the tuner isn't aware of the boost limit rescale patch. So now I'm gonna show you what happens when we enable this. So now if I come here and I'm gonna enable the patch, and then I can come here and now I can put in pretty much whatever load I want. So, you know, say I put 340 now, we have 340. And then you notice here on the stock map, it's now showing 170. So basically what this patch is doing is tricking the scaling to allow for a higher load without boost cut. So, so that's another reason why I'd say if you want big power, open source would be the way, because there's things like boost limit patch that I can incorporate to allow us to make big power with very little interruptions. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is alt maps, like how many alternate maps you can run, and also flex fuel. So now we're back here in the Access Tuner Pro software. So if we come down here to switchable maps, we have map 0 and map 1. So with the Accessport, as you can see, there's only 2 map options. So you could have 2 switchable maps, max, and also flex fuel is not available for the Accessport. Flex fuel tuning is not available for the Accessport. Now, a lot of people get the word flex fuel confused with, they think that just means to run E85. That's not true. Flex fuel, it means you have a whole kit, and basically I'm tuning it to automatically interpolate the maps, you know, based on what percentage of ethanol you're reading from your ethanol sensor, which will be connected to your vehicle. So flex fuel does not just mean E85. So if you had an Accessport and you wanted to have just a pump gas map and an E85 map, you can do that. That does not mean flex fuel. That just means you have one map for pump gas, one map for E85. So that's still doable with the Accessport, but a true flex fuel is not. And Cobb says they have no plans to do anything for flex fuel in the Evo X. So that's one of the big things with the Accessport. Now, if we come back into the open source ROM, the Tephra V3 ROM, you can see here how many alt maps we can run. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 alt maps. 9 alt maps you can run. You can have up to 9 maps stored on your Evo's stock ECU. And the greatest part about it all is it's all switchable by just a press of a button on your steering wheel. And on top of that, you can do that all while driving still. So you could literally be on the road. You could be on your, you know, because I have people do a different variation. So you could have like a low boost map, a mild and a wild, you know, whatever you want. We can do whatever. So you could literally have somebody, you know, pull up next to you, you know, maybe you're on your, you know, conservative map. They blow your doors off. And you can say, okay, whatever. So as you're cruising down the highway, you could literally press a button on your steering wheel. And then from there, your tachometer will indicate which map you're on. And you can switch up to your wild map, all while driving. Nothing will change. You'll still be driving perfectly fine. Switch to your wild map, pull back up to the guy, and blow his doors off. So, so yeah, a lot more flexibility with the V3 and the 9 alt maps. Not to mention, true, y'all see here, flex fuel capabilities with these maps here. So this is all the interpolation maps that I'd have control of, injector scaling, and sensor control. So this does have a true flex fuel system. If you're utilizing a flex fuel kit, because like I was saying earlier, a lot of people confuse that. They think flex fuel means just E85, you know, and that's not the case. You know, flex fuel means that you have a whole flex fuel kit, and that everything, you know, is set to interpolate by me Whereas dual maps, you can still have your 93 and E85 map either way without a flex fuel kit. So if anybody didn't know that, now you know. You can run E85 with just dual maps. You don't need flex fuel. Flex fuel is just, you know, if you're switching often, you could run flex fuel. But if you have E85 all around your town, I highly suggest you just run E85 full time. And then you have an alt map for 93 in case of emergencies. But you know, odds are, again, if you have E85 all around, I would just run that E85 year round, as long as that content is pretty decent, you know, above 60% or so. Okay, back in the Tephra V3 ROM here, I'm gonna go over a few other additional features that are available in open source that aren't available in the Accessport. One of the biggest things would be brake boost. So I brake boost patch all of my Tephra ROMs that go out to every single client, just so that it's already there and active. So because a lot of my clients, they race, you know, they go out, they hit the street, track, whatever it may be. So things like brake boosting will definitely help and give you the edge, especially on that initial takeoff. So brake boosting is one thing that is available in open source that you cannot get in the Accessport. Another thing that we have is RAX patches. So with RAX, we have 4 different things here. So I'm gonna go over each one. So the first one is the IAT adjusted wastegate duty cycle. So what this does, if I come in here and I go ahead and enable this patch, I can then come up to your wastegate control, and I can control how much wastegate it pulls if the temperature drops, say, too cold. So, you know, I have it set here. So -26 Fahrenheit, 19 Fahrenheit, 48 Fahrenheit. So you can see here, it's set to pull duty cycle in extreme cold weather. What this will help prevent is boost spiking in cold weather, or, you know, when it's hot, you know, it's kind of lower boost. So you see here, when the temperature goes up 100 degrees, 133 degrees, we start to have an increase in wastegate duty cycle. So this is real beneficial for those that might see extreme cold. This helps with keeping things in order so that we don't get extreme overboost or different boosts for different conditions. So yeah, this is something that is available open source that is not available in the Accessport. All right, so next one is going to be the direct boost barometer compensation. So what this does is, if this patch is enabled, whenever I'm tuning a car for boost, under the direct boost tab, you have atmospheric boost. So atmospheric boost, you typically set to the atmospheric pressure that the car lives at. So at sea level, generally 14.7 is where we'd run that at. Now, this is what you'd run if you didn't have the RAX patch, which again is not automatically. This is something that the tuner has to have knowledge about and know how to patch this onto a ROM. If they do it unsuccessfully, you run the risk of bricking your ECU. So this is, again, something that I personally add to every ROM that I send out. So with this enabled, what I can do is now, instead of setting the atmospheric pressure and hoping that it just stays at that pressure, because sometimes, you know, there can be pressure fluctuations, say he travels or something like that, then the car could possibly see a different, you know, barometric pressure. What I can do with my RAX patch is I can run this at 0, and now with this enabled, what will occur is the vehicle or the ECU will take the vehicle's barometer and use that reading to cross-reference for the direct boost. So instead of having a steady set 14.7, whatever your car's barometer does with this RAX patch enabled, it will adapt to it. It will always forever adapt to what the actual barometer is reading on your car. So this is a huge one. Every single car I send out gets this done, because that helps, because I deal with a lot of clients at altitude, at high elevations and things like that. So with this helps ensure that no matter where you are, your car will hit the same boost levels and perform the same, no matter what elevation, you know, whether it's sea level or not. So this is really handy to have. So the next one is going to be the Smart EC, and what this one does is this helps prevent a boost spike and then a drop and then a recover. Because in the tune, we can tune the wastegate to auto adapt upward to a certain percentage. So what can occur sometimes is that request to add the extra wastegate to hit target as it's spooling up can sometimes generate an overboost situation. And then what will happen is the ECU will see it, it'll auto correct, and you'll see a dip. And I'm gonna attach a diagram here that y'all can see visually how this works. So this prevents that climb, dip, and climb again. Basically, this will basically not allow it to auto up correct as it reaches its target, and then as boost settles, then it will begin corrections to, hit target if it needs to. So smart EC is good for preventing boost spikes, drop, and then spike again. The next one and biggest one is the fast logging, RAX fast log. So once this is enabled, this is the fastest data logging there is for the Evo X on the stock ECU. With the RAX fast logging, we can see, even with a bunch of points of data being logged, we can typically see, 15 to 20 points of data per second, which is great. That's a lot compared to what it'll do without the RAX fast logging, where in some cases it can do as little as 3 to 6 lines of data per second, which is pretty bad. So RAX fast logging is something that gets done to every single Evo X that I tune, and what that does is helps me be able to see more data over time, basically, so I can make finer adjustments and things like that. Yeah, so that pretty much concludes what RAX is, which each one does and controls. But yeah, the RAX is not available on Accessport. The Accessport logging rate, it's okay, but again, the RAX fast logging is the fastest method of logging an Evo X on stock ECU. So the big question is, do I even recommend Accessport tuning at all? And the answer to that would be, yeah, absolutely. So for somebody that's on stock turbo, maybe 18K turbo and pump, and especially if you already own an Accessport, maybe running an off-the-shelf map, then that's going to be the perfect candidates for a Accessport Pro Tune. So yeah, absolutely, it's not going to hurt you. It's only going to benefit you, especially getting things perfectly dialed in compared to the off-the-shelf maps, which are never perfect. I'm sorry, they're never perfect. But with a Pro Tune, everything gets buttoned up and set up all nice and neat. So yeah, I would recommend Accessport for somebody that's on, again, stock turbo, bolt-ons, the 18K and some bolt-ons. But for the more extreme things, like again, big power on stock block or built setups, highly recommend it that you go with the open source tune for sure. All right, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got some information out of it. And don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and drop a comment. Let me know what type of content you'd like to see from me. And then I'll see what I can do to get that pumped out for you guys. All right, till next time.